From the Shooting from the Lip studio in Louisville, Kentucky, it's the KT Unearthly Show with your hosts, Kevin Hale and Tiffany Mac.
Here we are, rolling in on this Friday night, Shooting from the Lip, the KT Unearthly Show, live from the SFTL studios plural, in Louisville, Kentucky. Kevin Hale here with my tag team partner in crime, the one and only Tiffany Mac. T-Mac, what is up with you?
I am just ready to go. We have done our little video promotions for this evening that you forced me to do. It was wonderful and embarrassing altogether.
I told you to pretend I was pointing a weapon at you, even though we're on the other end of town with each other, and it worked. So, but I appreciate that you did the Periscope thing, you did the FaceTime thing. Both were successes. You didn't, when you were doing the Periscope thing, you said you didn't see questions because the way you had your monitor or whatever. I asked a question, and if you go back and look at it, you'll see the question that was being asked. So I'm going to ask it now.
Was it what were you wearing?
No, I saw what you were wearing, so that's took away from. I asked, why are you wearing your ponytail on that side of your head?
Interesting. You noticed that I switched it?
Well, I didn't switch it. It was on your right side.
Yeah.
And I was trying to be funny to see if you would crack under with a question like that, and you didn't. You just totally. Actually, I was impressed. I thought, she just looked at that question and just kept on. But the truth is, you never saw the question.
Exactly. The truth comes out.
Yeah, I would have gotten potentially a snort. And, that would have been number one for the night. So,
this is something I have a tendency to do when I get very excited.
Like
whether
the Pointer Sisters kind of excited?
No, humor. I tend to snort, and you know what? It's my calling card.
It's your MO. It is.
I know. It's something I've tried to stop, along with the O's or U's, or there's a few things that get in our way, but that's one of them I won't be able to get out.
And I'm glad. Social media, you can subscribe to our show via iTunes or YouTube. Twitter at The Shooting Lip. My Twitter at Kevin Hale 423. Tiffany is at Tiffany Mac _ET. You can like us, follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Again, coming to you live via Blog Talk Radio tonight. We got a very solid, good, fun guest. Controversial because she started stuff with me today. That's the controversies. In we're a world. I'm going to try to put that aside. But Marie D. Jones, who, when you look at her bio, Tiffany, screenwriter, producer, researcher, public speaker, and then you go deeper into everything that she's done, things that she's doing. This is one of those people that if she would save me time by telling me what she hasn't done. And we could just assume the rest. But she'll be on. She's our guest tonight, and it's going to be a fun, heavy show. We did some pre-show talk with you and MDJ, and you mentioned some of your history as far as Greece goes, and we'll get into that and how all that kind of plays out. But one of the things we do to start the show, I still don't think we've given it a segment. I think we should go with it's the KT Unearthly Show, but that first segment might be the TK foreplay. I'm just throwing it out there.
I like it. I like it because it goes along with the rest of the Shooting from the Lip show programming, but, with the entertainment and the music.
There was an article that came out in the last few days, and I picked it up from Coast to Coast, their website. There was actually in the state of somewhere in Kentucky. Actually, the source is CNN, so they grabbed the story from CNN. But there was a fatal motorcycle crash here in the state, and there's an image. There's a picture taken of it Did you see that where an image, what appears to as the viral topic, spirit has left this victim's body? So you did see it. What do you think?
I did. It sort of goes along with the whole UFO topic because we have so many people that take these images and pictures and photographs of what they claim to be UFOs or orbs or ghosts. And there's so many different types of Photoshop programs out there, Corel and all these others, that you can do this easily. So you know me, I try to stay away from verification when it comes to photographs because you just can't trust people to give you a legitimate image without Photoshopping it. So, yes, it sounds amazing and sad at the same time, but I don't know. What did you think?
I take that stuff with a grain of salt. Could it be legit?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it could. I mean, because I don't discount. I don't believe whatever I'm trying to say. But, yeah, I mean, why not? Could it be fake? Yeah. If there is such a thing, then I guess that's kind of how it would go, right? Yeah, so.
Well, it's a possibility. I like to keep hope alive.
Yeah, right. Usually we go one topic, but I've got a second topic, and actually it's a nice segue to bring in our guest, Marie D. Jones. Marie, is you there?
I am here.
How are you?
I'm good.
Marie sounds happy tonight. That's awesome.
It's Friday.
Right.
And we're hogging your Friday evening.
No, that's okay. And I mean, I work all weekend too, but I still have that sort of Friday mentality when Friday rolls around.
That's awesome.
Because I don't have to work as much.
And you're on the West Coast, correct?
I'm in San Diego.
San Diego, so
San Diego, California.
It's a little after 7 your time. It's still
sunny,
daylight out
there. It's beautiful. Yeah, it's 7 something.
Now there was a story that came out actually in the last couple of days where, and this is USA Today. I think CNN covered it. So it was per se major news sources, publications, but there was this supposedly question and video. Did NASA deliberately cut a live feed of a UFO? Now there is this video. It's on YouTube. I think it's pretty much gone viral, where there is an object that appears to be breaching our solar system, and it looked under control of some type of intelligence. The way it's coming in. Have you seen that?
Yeah. It looks like a little tiny dot that is heading into our atmosphere, and then it just stops. The film stops. Whoever was shooting it just stopped. I mean, for God's sake, it's so far away. How could anybody even make a determination? And to think that it's alien, I think if it's anything, it's probably somebody else's satellite or something. But it's so far away. I mean, I was just shocked by how many people were, oh, my God, look, it's a UFO. Oh, my God, yeah, it is a UFO. It's an unidentified floating object.
Well, it's not per se floating. This is what when I was looking at it.
But it's falling towards the atmosphere at the same rate that the whoever is taking the image of it, the vehicle that they're in is rising a little bit. And somebody pointed this out to me. And then you see it stop. And oh my God, it stopped of its own volition. No. The filming stopped. I mean, you could literally see that sort of shimmer where, when you put something on pause, like your cell phone camera on pause, it kind of vibrates a little. So, you know what? Sell me something better. And you guys were talking about the ghost picture, and I'm thinking, are you serious? There's barely an outline to that thing. You could Photoshop the hell out of anything nowadays. Yeah. If this is what we're looking at as evidence, we have got big problems and a long way to go.
Well, let's back to this UFO video, and we'll put it to bed, and then we'll move on to our show. The question, though, I ask is, regardless of what it, because I'm one that just because there's a little dot or a light in the sky, I'm not 100% on board that it's extraterrestrial or alien. But it appears though that NASA did shut down the feed.
Well, isn't there a 5 or 10 second delay anyway?
This wasn't a delay.
It
was a
sense
shut.
That if it's something that could potentially be a security issue, that they would, shut it down and go private until they could determine what it is. I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
That doesn't bother me. What bothers me is the overwhelming assumption on behalf of the public that was a spaceship with aliens in it. And it's like, no, it's an anomaly. We don't have a full explanation. But why on earth would your first assumption be the one that has the least amount of credible, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. And so if you're going to make a claim like that, you damn well better have some really good evidence to back it up. And I think this is a problem in the UFO and the paranormal communities, where now on YouTube and all over social networking, you see pictures. Some lady posted one the other day. There's the face of an angel in the clouds. Oh my God, it's proof of God. And I'm thinking, those are clouds, lady. I don't see a face. Your brain will look for some kind of pattern, for order out of chaos. And there was no face there. I didn't see it. And you're making this assumption that it's, the face of an angel that God sent you. If that helps you get through the night, that's awesome. But wow, do we make these outrageous claims off of the sheerest amount of evidence that we can possibly get,
Going right along with that, I was sent a picture that my mom had taken of the clouds the other day. And she said, "Why didn't you respond about the cloud picture?" And I said, "It's clouds. What do you want me to say about it?" And she said, "It looks like the cloud is a face blowing out smoke." And I was like, oh my God. I'm like, how am I supposed to know what I'm supposed to be looking at? If it's just clouds, you should at least be able to say, look, it looks like a face blowing out smoke. But I know, but it was funny. It was funny, I will admit. But yeah, when it comes down to things like that, that's wonderful. If you can picture Mickey Mouse running hand in hand with Donald Duck in the clouds, that's wonderful. Good for you. And just hope you have a great day.
Yeah.
because of it.
Better proof. And I think, people forget that NASA doesn't work for the people.
Yeah.
And they report to the government, and there is a protocol. And if they feel that they might be looking at something that, could be an issue, of course they're going to cut the feed.
Yeah, but that goes along with all of the posts people are putting on Facebook of all of these images and videos, and a lot of times they're like, look, it's an actual UFO. And, based on your experience, and my experience is limited, but I've also grown up around air bases my whole life, and I've worked on some. And, when it comes down to it, we have a lot of secret craft that you're just not going to know about as Joe Blow in anywhere. You're not going to know about it. And the thing is, that's what they want. They don't want you to know about them yet. And it'll come out in the wash eventually. They're not going to be able to keep everything a secret. And, it's like, for example, my uncle works for the Air National Guard now. He's been there for forever. But my mom said, so what were those F-16s doing flying in, or F-35s or something like that, flying in the other night at like 4 o'clock in the morning? He's like, what are you talking about? She's like, what were they doing? He's like, you're not supposed to know about that. And she's like, they were above my house.
Yeah, really?
They flew above my house low, and they woke me up. You think I don't know what they are?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, you know what? Anybody with half a brain can sit there and be like, yeah, that might be something secret going on, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's, I don't know. It doesn't mean that it's alien. It doesn't mean that just because you don't know what the craft is doesn't mean that it's alien. Just because you don't know.
UFO is an unidentified flying object. That does not automatically mean that it is extraterrestrial or interdimensional.
Correct.
Sure.
Correct.
And the vast I spent over 15 years with Mutual UFO Network.
Right.
99.999% of the cases that we researched were nothing. They were misidentifications of either natural phenomena or San Diego. My gosh, we're surrounded by military bases and installations, and misidentification of even a small plane. If the atmosphere is a certain way and you've got the lights, things can look really weird. And you have to, one of the things that we did do, which I loved at the time with MUFON, was that we were very well trained in how to identify the normal steps. So you still have that very small percentage where things are like, whoa.
Oh, of course.
But the problem is and I was in MUFON in the 1980s into the 90s. It was back in the day. So the problem, we didn't have cell phones then. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have Photoshop. We didn't have the internet. The problem today is that you would think that better quality information would be out there, but it's not. What happens is the better quality images and sightings and reports get totally drowned out by the overwhelm of people taking images or video of, they have no clue what they're taking. It's a cloud. And so for people like we were talking about Chase earlier with MUFON, you got to weed through so much junk now to get to those images, to get to the case reports, and the eyewitness accounts that have some semblance of credibility. And I do not envy. I'm not in MUFON now. I just don't have time. I would love to be, but I don't envy them. I do not envy the overwhelm of information they have to weed through.
Well, a big thing right now is all of these triangular craft, right? I mean, it could very well.
Back in the 90s, we had, in the 1990s, the Hudson River sightings in New York were of triangular craft, and it turned out that they were from a nearby military base. And we had those in Los Angeles. I lived in Burbank many years ago when they actually flew some in. I think they were flying from, I don't know if it was March or Edwards, out to the coast and back. And if you were out on the freeway at just the right time, you saw them.
Right. Well, I mean, you can look at the aurora. Look at the aurora stealth craft, right?
Right.
It looks like something out of this world.
Yeah,
but guess what, guys? It's not.
Well,
it's very.
I want to chime in. You two have been going back and forth. And because usually I'm not so pro UFOs or anything, but one thing I've gotten out of this is that, well, here, for starters, Tiffany, on our show,
yes, sir,
we reference Bugs Bunny and Daffy, not Mickey and Donald. Okay,
I forgot.
That was my idol.
And what
I forgot. I'm sorry.
For these first 10 minutes or so, what I have come to the conclusion is that Marie, you are, if I had a good, like I'm drinking my wine right now, if I had a wine buzz going up right now, you would talk me out of my buzz. And if I was like
a huge believer, that's not true. I'm just an intelligent. I approach these things from common sense, rational, intelligent point of view. I was raised by a scientist. I believe I have believed that UFOs exist, the alien ones, since I was a little girl. I have read about UFOs, and I've seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind over 200 times. No, that's not true. But I think a true believer, quote unquote, will ask all of the questions that push this into the corner to get to the truth. I'm not a blind believer, which is why I'm not, I'm borderline atheist. I'm just not a blind believer in anything. But
I'm with you there.
I've never talked you out of a glass of wine. My God, I would have you drink the whole bottle.
The other thing I think you could do probably tonight too is that, if I was like highly turned on right now, at the end of the show, Marie will.
Why does it always go to sex?
It's it's not sex. My point is that if I can still be highly turned on for whatever reason, but by the end of the show, I think Marie would have me needing the blue pill.
Oh my God! Where in the world?
I'm just saying, she's just okay.
You know what, Kevin? Honestly, I've been doing this for so long that I don't like to BS anymore, and it's very aggravating and frustrating to see the low level of research and investigations going on out there, whether we're talking about, ghost hunting, quote unquote, or people looking for UFOs, the way that they chase tornadoes. I think my BS meter is off the chart. And a lot of people say, oh my God, you're so skeptical. I'm thinking, no, you're not listening to me. I'm not saying those things don't exist. I'm just saying that 99% of the crap that you're shoving in front of my face telling me is those things. Mm-hmm. Anybody with common sense and a brainstem could see that that's probably the least likely explanation. And I think that we all want to get to the truth. And I don't want to blindly accept somebody handing me. A few years ago, I was speaking at a dinner with a bunch of paranormal people, and a girl came up to me and she showed me her cell phone. She said, look at this picture. It's a demon. And the picture was black. Okay, black. There was nothing. It was like when you accidentally take a picture and, nothing's there. You just take a bad picture. But there was nothing there. I mean, I couldn't even see little pinpricks of eyes. And she got really upset with me and left the event because I kept saying, there is nothing on that phone. There's nothing. She's like, make it bigger and look bigger. And it's like, it's just blackness. Your mind is wanting to see something there. And she showed it to other people, and they were saying the same thing I was. There's nothing there. Now, if somebody would have came up to me with, a really interesting image, and I could get a hold of someone who knew all of the rules of altering photographs, and they said, oh my God, this photograph has not been altered in any way. Look at this, the proportions are right, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to pay attention. Mm-hmm. But you got to weed through an awful lot of...
Luckily, I'm not thin-skinned, or it would just be Tiffany and Marie, and I would just take my ball and go.
Kevin,
I would take my ball and stay at home. But anyway, I'm kidding. I'm with you though.
Yeah, I can't imagine him doing that. He likes confrontation too much.
He's trying to get me into a fight. He wants to grapple with me.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, I've actually gotten in really big arguments with people on radio because they were trying to see everything and they were insisting that I wasn't seeing anything, and that's not true. All I'm trying
to do is...
But no, are you kidding? Come on, dude. I want to see a UFO more than anything, and an alien one.
Right.
That was one of my dreams,
Yeah, I'm with you. At the end of the day, I think what I was trying to do is defend maybe half our audience who, every light in the sky, every sound in the dark is something. But let's. Yeah. But, all right. One thing we know that's real, and that is you, Marie D. Jones, who is, again, author, screenwriter, producer, researcher, public speaker. You've been involved in a lot of things. Why don't you brag for the next 60 seconds, really, what you've been up to lately? Yeah.
Well, oh, my God. I hate when people say, tell us about yourself. No.
Well, we could do it for you, but it's not as entertaining.
And why don't you make it even more fun, Marie? Go stand in front of the mirror and then say it. So it gives the double.
I like myself. I really like myself. No, you know what? I'm a writer. I've been writing since I was 2. I'm a curious explorer. I've always loved, I'm a science fanatic, but I've always loved the paranormal, the other side, the unseen. And I grew up, my father was a geophysicist. I grew up in a very scientific household. My mom was real creative. So I got that wonderful balance of creativity and science. I've never, ever felt like science and the paranormal were clashing. I always felt like they were two ends of the same yardstick, and I wanted to find out where that middle point was. But I've been writing since, I've written thousands of articles, essays, reviews. I've written a ton of books. I've been writing fiction and screenplays for a long time and kind of set that aside to write nonfiction for the last 12 years, and now I'm circling back because I absolutely love the world of fiction. You can explore paranormal things in fiction. You can explore UFOs and aliens and all that, and have the wonderful freedom to do the research and do that exploration in the guise of a really cool story. So that kind of, I really want to be a jockey, but I'm too tall. So that kind of sums up my whole life. And I have a kid.
A kid.
My 15-year-old son, who is the light of my life.
Well,
Who also writes, but he also writes too, right?
Well, he did. Now he just hangs out with his friends, plays video games, and
goes hunting for cartoon characters.
But you know what? See, my son has a disability, and he's had a lot of surgery, so he's really he hasn't been able to walk for a year. It's kind of on and off. And so he had surgery in November, and it's been very hard for him to get back to walking. And I have to tell you, the fact that he said, Mom, I will agree to go out walking with you, practice my walking, if you download this, and we'll go hunt them together. And he'll go to the races with me and do all kinds of stuff. And I thought, you know what? If that gets my kid out of the house walking, because we're supposed to go to Comic-Con next weekend, and it's going to be tough. But yeah, he's the light of my life.
Okay, now I understand why you did this whole Pokemon Go.
I do too. I stand corrected. You played your kid card on me. I am going to not bring it up the rest of the night.
Yeah, I get that now.
I'm a huge horse racing fanatic, and the races have started, and he didn't want to go with me because there's a lot of walking. But I said, but guess, you'll find so many Pokemon at the racetrack, and his eyes just lit up. So he said, all right, let's get tickets.
Well, side note, have you ever been to the Derby?
Oh, no, that's one of my dreams. I actually am in the process of becoming part owner in some actual racehorses. I wanted to be a jockey when I was a kid. Other than writing, that was my big dream. And it was just physically not going to happen. And so I rode horses. I jumped. I rode jumpers. And then I kind of got away from it for a while. And it's just my huge passion other than writing. And I have a lot of friends who are racehorse owners and breeders. And it's just something that I really want to get into as a side thing, when I'm not writing, which is rarely.
A side thing.
I mean, it's a brilliant idea. If it gets my teenage 15-year-old sit on his butt, play video games all day, son, out of the house, bless you, my child.
Yeah.
I'm all for it.
There you go. Cool. Oh, go ahead.
Well, all okay, right. So let's try to get on topic here tonight.
Much fun talking about everything else.
I know. I don't know if we're going to do it. But so we asked you to come on because you are just, first of all, an incredible author. And one of the books that you've written recently is Mind Wars, A History of Mind Control, Surveillance, and Social Engineering by Government, Media, and Secret Societies. So I do feel like this is a very, very important topic, and it's been important for the past probably 60 or 70 years, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. I think even more so now. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely now. And we've been exposed to it in the media. We've been exposed to everything from conspiracy theory to all of these other forms, like even the Matrix, that goes into different types of consciousness and control factors. But so The inner frontier of human mind is the last bastion of privacy. But are we really in control of our own minds? The answer may shock you. Mind Wars includes fascinating stories of ancient attempts at mind control using spell casting, potions, and rituals, cults and the use of mental reprogramming, modern mind control techniques, from hypnosis, drugs, and electroshock to radiation and psychic driving, the brave new world of electronic harassment, voice-to-skull technology, and gang stalking. Now, every one of those side notes, every one of those topics just has me reeling when it comes down to it. I've been exposed to some of it, and I've seen it with a lot of different military men, and I've been able to start recognizing some of the techniques. But this book it sounds like it's just sort of one of those things that is just going to drop you on your pants, and really take you for a ride and go into sort of this horror that is going on behind the scenes of our daily life. I mean, everything from our basic military structure down to how we see through the television, through our sales pitches, through down to what we'd buy in the grocery store. Am I right?
Well, it's pervasive, and I mean, it is a part of our life. And I think that the more people know, the more they wake up, they become aware of it. And it's not, it used to be the realm of conspiracy theory, but it's not. In this book, when Larry Flaxman and I set out to write it, our purpose was to write a comprehensive guide to the history of mind control, social programming, surveillance, which is a form of it's a form of behavior modification. Mm-hmm. We wanted to do something really comprehensive so that you could buy one book, kind of get a little insight into all kinds of things. And if you want to go off and do more research on a particular subject, great, that's wonderful. And the idea was to present some, obviously there are a lot of conspiracy theories and those need to be discussed. But the interesting thing that we found is so much of this is not. It's absolutely factual. It's part of our history. Mm-hmm. It's how our media operates, which I think is the biggest factor that we face today in terms of manipulative mind control and behavior modification, is what we are being given, what we are being presented as news is no longer news. Journalism is dead. I posted that on Facebook a couple of weeks ago. Journalism is dead. I was a journalism major in college. This is not journalism. This is not news. Right. We're getting opinion. We're getting spin. We're getting this new thing called sponsored news stories, which are bought and paid for by advertisers, corporations, you name it. So we really, and it's funny because when we started thinking about, all right, what are we going to be writing about? New things would come up. Like I had never heard of gang stalking. Yeah, that's a new term to me too, and I would like to discuss that. Oh, creepy. And listen, I had never heard of V2K, which is voice to skull, a patented technology that's been around for decades. I actually experienced it while writing the book, and it was terrifying. Let's go into both of those, but okay, let's talk about the gang stalking. That sounds like something that may be very important for all of us to understand. It is, but I do want to say, too, that one of the things that we did, we started the book out by talking about, and I have to bring this up because this is such a big part of our society now that I see so many people suffering from. We talked about mind control and interpersonal relationships. Because people, when they hear the word mind control, they automatically think of a big government cover-up or conspiracy that does not have anything to do with their personal lives. But we talk about how the same techniques that are used in cults, that are used in religions, that are used by, that were used in MK Ultra when it was a factor, that the government and the military used on POWs and what have you, we are using on each other in our interpersonal relationships. The idea of coercive persuasion and intermittent reinforcement, narcissism and codependency relationships. Those are all about trying to control somebody else's thoughts, actions, and behaviors. And so we started with that to show people everything that you're going to hear on the grander scale is stuff that you're experiencing now with your family, your toxic relationships with lovers or whatever, friendships that don't work out. With society itself, we see such an incredible amount of attempts to make other people think, behave, and act the way somebody else wants. It's just rampant. So I wanted to throw that out there because I don't want people to think, oh, well, this doesn't really affect me. I've never been gang stalked. Well, no, but you probably are dealing today with a narcissist or a psychopath or a sociopath. And you may not even be aware of why this particular relationship is so toxic. But to get into the what's called electronic harassment and the gang stalking, so when we were doing the research, I actually, at the time, I was dating a guy who was real big in the conspiracy field. We're still really good friends. But so he was kind of telling me, well, you have to talk about this, and this. And I thought, I've never even heard of these things. Mm-hmm. And I started doing the research, and it was just mind-blowing. So there is technology that can literally broadcast words, phrases, tones, pulses directly into the human brain. And it's been perfected. It actually began in the 1960s. It was perfected by a man named Joseph Sharp at Walter Reed Institute in the 70s, patented. It's public information. It is a real technology, voice to skull. It's also called the microwave auditory effect, and it is the ability to use the microwave realm, I guess you could say, to pulse information remotely into somebody's brain. And today, I can't even imagine how much that technology has become sophisticated.
Is this done through technology that we already own?
Oh, absolutely. It's been around since the 70s. Absolutely. And you can look it up. You can go in and you can Google patents for V2K or voice-to-skull technology, and you'll pull up patents that have been around for decades. And they've all been perfected, some by the military, some by, psychology or whatever, whoever felt that they could benefit, because V2K can also be used in more beneficial ways. I mean, if you have someone who is suffering from delusions or schizophrenia or, they're addicted to heroin, whatever, if you have a way of pulsing information into their brain to literally change the neural pathways, that could be a beneficial thing. Unfortunately, most of the people that have claimed to be victims of V2K it's not beneficial. And I think that as the technology gets more sophisticated, it can be operated far more remotely from much more distant locations to the point where you will have no idea who is doing it, who is projecting this crap into my brain, because they're not anywhere near you.
Does your genetic makeup, does my DNA have something to do with allowing this vibe to control me? Is this technology that's going to mean that it's going to be one nation under the rule of that one power? Not God, but just electron.
I don't think your DNA has anything to do with that. I think if you have a brain that's working, that's all they need. And it's considered non-lethal weaponry, which, is a huge area of research and development. Being able to disable or disempower your enemies without killing them has a lot of advantages. It's also, something that can be used for riot control. And we have sonic weapons that are used in riot control and have been. During the LA riots, we had sonic weaponry. V2K, I think, is another possibility for, in the future, I hate to say it, being able to quell a very large crowd of rioters or protesters or, troublemakers. But interestingly, there's been some really interesting articles, too, and some pretty big publications about people that claim that they're victims of V2K. And it can be mistaken or misidentified as schizophrenia, which is why when someone who thinks that they may be experiencing V2K, when they go to a doctor, the doctor's going to say, well, you're schizophrenic. You're hearing voices. you're delusional, what have you. Because very few doctors are prepared to deal with this type of technology. There are some, and there's actually a chain of doctors that will take people who believe that they're being electronically harassed. So what happened, though, when we were writing the book is I was living in a different location. I was living at the top of a hill, and I'm a ham radio operator. So I was in a spot where I could get really good, reception. There was a repeater very close by, and just, wonderful reception of anything. And so while we were writing the book, while I was doing the research for this chapter, I started to hear, and I'm not crazy and I've never been schizophrenic, voices in my head and music and tones and pulses, and they were very rhythmic and they had a structure. I know Morse code, I know what it sounds like, and I would also hear Morse code. And it went on for about 3 months. I went to the doctor several times because at first I thought, oh my God, what's wrong with me? You're fine, it's nothing, maybe you're under a lot of stress. And I, talked to the person that I was dating at the time, and he said, oh my God, that sounds like B2K. So interestingly, after I finished the chapter, when the book was done, I moved. I now live at the bottom of a hill where there's no reception for anything. I have not had that happen since. So was somebody toying with me? Was my brain just picking up on it, being broadcast through the airwaves, and I was just sort of like a receiver? But it was terrifying. It would go on for hours. I couldn't sleep. I was hearing conversations, but I couldn't quite make out the words. I was hearing tones, and, not like when you have tinnitus or anything like that. They were very structured. I was hearing clicks and pulses, and I couldn't go to sleep because they wouldn't stop. So I can see why a lot of B2K victims feel like they're going crazy. And I had a lot of them that I talked to say that they feel like they're guinea pigs for some, testing of new technology. And I think that makes a lot of sense because a lot of these people don't have a reason to be attacked like this. They're not sons or daughters of military intelligence people. They don't have connections to huge corporations, I think that we're all guinea pigs to whatever technology is being tested out there.
Was that a dig towards me in both accounts?
No. The reason I said that.
Oh my God, I'm terrified.
No. Well, but listen, in some cases, people were able to identify why they felt like they were being harassed. Whistleblowers, one gentleman had left a corporation where he was a whistleblower, and he had all kinds of information to show that they were, doing this and that. And there were people that were associated with those that are in the military intelligence field, and they thought, I can see why I'm being targeted. Mm-hmm. But there were many, many more that had no such associations that they could pinpoint, including, well, for me, I thought, do they know I'm writing this book? What are they following my Google searches,
Yeah.
my search engine?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, that's more than possible.
It wouldn't be the first time that's happened. I mean, right. I've had that happen writing books before where strange things would happen, but it's terrifying. And it only happened to me for a few months. I can't even imagine if it's, 6 months, 9 months. It would make you crazy. And now the gang stalking is another interesting element. And you guys let me know if you have to put a break. So with the gang stalking, this is another sort of form of harassment of individuals that either they know why they're being harassed, like I said, or they don't. And what gang stalking is that you might be walking down the street, or you might be at a function or grocery shopping, and there will be a group of people following you, and you'll hear your name mentioned, or you'll hear snippets of their conversation, and it's about you, and a lot of times it's personal information that nobody should have, and these people are strangers to you. Now that sounds it's also called street theater. Creepy names. And they're forms of harassment. Now, why anybody would do this, I don't know. The people that claim it's being done to them, are they crazy? Are they imagining things? Possibly. But you have thousands of people now coming forward and saying, oh my God, I was gang stalked. And they knew my password to, my bank account. They said it out loud. It's almost as if they're trying to scare you, but they don't actually hurt you. There's also another type of gang stalking that's a little bit of a misnomer, but it's where you will maybe go home and find out that your home has been broken into, but nothing has been taken or moved. There's nobody in there. Maybe a few nights later you'll hear noises. You'll go and see that somebody broke into your side door, but there's nobody's trying to hurt you. They're just trying to scare you. It's harassment. So this is such a fascinating chapter, and it really, my skepticism was at an all-time high, but when I experienced something myself, I thought, wow, this is really creepy. And then you talk to some of these victims, and they're terrified. They don't want attention. They don't want their names involved. I was not allowed to use names. I don't know. It's a real creepy thing, a phenomenon that seems to be happening, but we don't really know why.
Based on this conversation, based on this topic, it sounds like that 100 years, 500 years from now, you are not going to need a, per se, semi-automatic or rifle or a tank or, bombs. You're going to need technology. You're going to need this type of stuff to defeat the, it's like in 500 years, ground wars or that type of violence may not exist because technology, you win out because of what you can do. In this case, you're controlling everything from a, some type of advanced.
I think that 500 years is a stretch. It sounds like it could be potentially a lot closer than that.
Oh,
well,
yeah.
I mentioned I say 100, but I'm saying in 500 years, I would love to know what the world would be like in 500 years. But in 100 years, we may be looking at who can outthink the other person literally and put you in your place based on my thoughts can supersede your thoughts, and you now do as I say.
Exactly.
Period.
Well, it's a one big giant cult. Absolutely.
Yes.
But we have directed energy weapons. They've been around for a while. They've been in use for a while. Whether they're using sound, heat, radiation, they're around. And those are, and a lot of them can be operated remotely so that you can't really see who your attacker is. They're in use on the battlefield. They were used in Iraq. They were used in the Gulf War. What's really scary, though, is like you said, if you think about what's coming down the pike, though, the ultimate weapon would be to get into somebody's brain and literally change their mind. Literally, you could turn an enemy into an ally. You could turn an ally into an enemy. You could disable, you could cripple someone psychologically. And we know PSYOPs, we know psychological warfare is a fact. So to develop the kind of technology that uses the microwave spectrum or some type of electromagnetic radiation to literally get into the body and do its damage, you will eliminate the need for expensive warfare. You eliminate the need for tanks and all kinds of guns and planes and aircraft carriers and what have you. You eliminate the need for nuclear weapons, because if you have the ability to get inside the minds of the enemy with some type of sophisticated weapon, then you just, you fire it, you shoot it off, and that's it. You're done.
So do you think that the end game is to actually just become some type of hive mind, like a universal creature, like all of us combined to be one with like small controllers?
Yeah, I hate to go that negative, but I do think about that. Obviously, I think if I try to be realistic and commonsensical and not get too deep down the rabbit hole, what you see with the research of what's been done, what is being done, and what we have the potential to do. Obviously, with terrorism and the desire to, always control other parts of the world, it does seem like war and weapons of war are probably the main focus, although some of this technology, again, is also a part of the psychology and psychiatrists, people that are looking, neurologists, brain researchers that are looking for ways to perfect the human brain, to overcome bad habits, to alter defects in the personality that might lead to, psychotic behavior, blah, blah, blah. So there is that sort of medical side to it, and then there's the warfare side. In terms of trying to control the populace, I kind of think that they don't need this stuff. They have the media. The media works perfectly to do that. But I do think in riot control. I think that if we ever went under martial law, which could happen at any time if you pay attention, and people rebelled, there was an uprising, a civilian uprising, this stuff is going to be put into play. Okay, so they're not going to come out with machine guns and gun us all down in the streets. That's only going to make the rest of the world go crazy. But if you have a way to disable a large group of people remotely using, a sound weapon like the LRAD or a heat weapon or some type of microwave weapon that gets inside our heads and mucks things up so that we just can't even function, you're going to use that.
Now, would this...
It doesn't kill us, It's not
would that have...
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so it won't kill you, but will it have any lasting effect on our brains or brain
Oh,
powder?
who knows? My God. Well, you know what? It's like when you taser somebody. I always wonder, wow, that's got to mess up their
Oh man, I have a taser, and I really sometimes there's moments where I look at my husband and I think, just give him 2,300 volts, just real quick. He won't feel it. He won't feel it because he doesn't feel anything. But you know what I'm saying. Like
I'm sure.
What are the effects on the body after use of something like that? Yeah.
I mean, physiologically, we are. The human physiology is so delicately balanced, and if you're getting into somebody's brain with microwaves or you're pulsing EM pulses and things like that, which is another wonderful weapon and another wonderful way to control the populaces with an EMP. But yeah, we don't. Maybe they do know what the lasting effect is, and we're just not made privy to that. But I would think that it's just like if you eat a lot of sugar all your life, it's going to affect your body with diabetes or your whatever. So if they're doing this kind of stuff to us, it's like all the fuss that went on for years about people living under telephone wires, and now just about everything's underground. Does that mean that we're fully protected from it? Probably not. And then all the fuss about do cell phones cause cancer? And so I can only imagine that there would be some long-term effects, but we probably won't be told what they are.
Yeah. So what are targeted individuals? And is this something that's sort of a big bag of multicolored M&Ms? Is there just lots and lots of these different techniques being used?
A TI, targeting individual, is someone who claims that they're being gang-stalked, that they're victims of V2K, that they're being harassed with, microwave weapons or what have you, that there's some kind of directed energy weapon that they are experiencing the negative results of, and they're called targeted individuals.
But who are the most commonly targeted individuals?
And believe it or not, everyday people. Like I said earlier, some of them can identify a potential reason why they're being harassed. Oh, I worked for, the world's big pharma corporation. Excuse me, and I was made privy to some research tests that were altered about a particular drug that later killed 25,000 people. Okay, fine. You probably are going to get harassed if you leave that company, so that you are so scared you will never open your mouth,
right?
You'll never whistle blow. But the vast majority feel like they're just randomly chosen guinea pigs, and they don't know why. And they come from all over the country. I'm sure it happens all over the world. I didn't really talk to anybody in another country, but you can't pinpoint like a particular type of person, young, old. Some of the there was one gentleman that we really focused on, Jesus Maldonado. Let me see if I can find some of the information. He actually took his case of being electronically microwave harassed to the Supreme Court. And he was successful in getting it through the state court in Texas, took it to the Supreme Court, where, of course, they refused to hear the case.
Well, what kind of proof would that guy even come up with, though?
He had, and oh, my God, he had YouTubes. I don't know if they're still up there. He had full documentation from lawyers that he was working with, medical doctors that showed, he had hundreds of photographs that showed the ongoing skin rashes and just absolute degradation of the skin of him and his children.
From the radiation?
The radiation. He, oh my gosh, the case, I'm trying to look here and see. So it went into federal court. It's all, a matter of public record now. He had ongoing associations where he would tell people, and one of them was the gentleman that I had been dating, where he would have them go to his house. He lived outside of Houston, and witness, just so he could say, if anything happens to me, if I die, I need for you to see this. Was he making it up? Probably not, because in his case, he did have a lot of incredible evidence. He actually knew why he was being retaliated against, because he had evidence to expose a fraudulent scheme involving a very, very large law school. So he had a reason why. And let me just say right here that this technology is available to your next door neighbor.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow, that makes me feel really good.
Well, a couple of people that I talked to that were TIs said that they felt that abusive exes were stalking them, were using some of these techniques. If you are technology savvy, this is the kind of stuff that you can easily go look at those patents and create yourself. Not as sophisticated as the government or the military can, but that's what's really scary about it, is that if you have a brain, and you know a lot about a technology, this stuff is not that hard to do. That's really scary. So,
okay, how much are we exposed to different forms of surveillance and invasions of privacy? I know that almost every family in America has a computer. Almost everyone has a cell phone. Almost everyone has an iPad these days.
Yeah.
And when it comes to, say, our iPhones, you would not believe how many times my iPhone clicks on and decides to just start talking to me about something that I've been talking about. And it's like, what the hell is going on? Because Siri, that lady, she needs to just mind her own business.
She's nosy. I have a Droid, and my son had to go in, and he's he could probably hack the Pentagon if he wanted to. Mm-hmm. He went in and disabled a bunch of stuff because it would take pictures when it wasn't even on. Now, I did not know that this was possible. Mm-hmm. And actually, Larry Flaxman, the co-author of the book, he works in cybersecurity, and he knows all about this stuff. Mm-hmm. And he told me some pretty horrifying things about how your cell phone, even when it's off, can be recording your voice, recording, taking photographs.
Yeah.
When I was writing the book, I said to him, my desktop computer, the camera keeps clicking, taking pictures. Mm-hmm. And he said, cover it up.
Yeah.
I disabled my internal webcam. I don't use a webcam anymore. I will not use one. If I take the cover off, click, click, you know. But here's the thing. So now you got people playing Pokemon Go, and of course, it's a tracking, you know, it's a potential tracking issue. GPS is on. You have to constantly have your location tracked. The government, whoever is doing this, they're not going to use that information against you unless they suspect that you're up to something. The real problem when it comes to surveillance is from advertisers and corporations. Because literally what they are doing is they are taking every bit of information they can about you, your lifestyle, you know, who you date, where you go, what do you buy on the internet, you know, do you watch porn or not? I mean, they're taking every bit of information in an attempt to be able to try to sell you or promote things to you that you might buy. With the government, there's just so much data for them to sort through that you're not even a blip on the radar. They don't care unless you have certain keywords that you repeat a lot and you happen to be on a list. You know, you're less than a number. Excuse me, but to anybody that can make money off of you, it's a different story. So we're, you know, since the Patriot Act, yeah, obviously domestic surveillance has increased quite a bit. We're constantly being watched. We're being watched by satellites. We're being watched by drones. We're being watched by street cameras. We're being watched by our computers, our laptops, our tablets, and our cell phones. We're being watched by smart appliances and smart TVs. So, you know, even smart cars have tracking devices on them. We can't get away from it.
You know, every day I think, wow, it's amazing. Look at the technology. All I have to do is stand in front of my TV and wave, and I can get to another screen or I can get to another movie.
Yeah.
And it's just like, but we have invited these people into our homes.
Absolutely.
We have invited this. We are so excited to have this technology. Our children are using it. Our grandparents are using it. And it's become a very, very commonplace ability for them to do so. And for the whoever these people are that have the interest in snooping on you, we've made it easy for them.
Well, yeah, and I laughingly say it's because we're lazy, and to some extent, we want faster, easier, we want more access to things that are convenient. We want to be able to shop online. We want to be able to close our garage door, you know, if we're at work and we realize we forgot to close our garage door without getting in the car and going back home to close.
Right, you just use your app on your phone.
Yeah, and I mean, it's awesome. But you're right, we have sacrificed any semblance of privacy. And for some people, that's fine. Like, you know, getting back to the Pokemon Go again, and it really is so relevant to all of this because it tells you up front it's going to track everything you do so that you can get your little Pokemon. Well, you know, so you might say, well, that's fine. I'm not doing anything wrong, so I don't care if they, you know, the government knows that I'm at the park at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm not doing anything wrong. But to some people, it's bothersome. They don't want to have that intrusion. And the problem is now that we think that we can just go in and disable a few options on our phones, but the technology is out there to override anything that we do, to take pictures, to take voice recordings of you while your phone is off. That's insane.
Yeah.
But we love our cell phones, so we're going to accept that risk for the convenience that they bring to us.
Right, and that goes back to the whole thing about, is your cell phone going to give you cancer? Well, back when I started having a cell phone that I can put in my pocket, you know, they started getting smaller and smaller. Well, then I could put it in my bra, you know. And my mom's like, "Don't do that." And I said, "Well, my grandmother used to always put things in her bra."
Yeah, but
you'd pack money in there. But it's like one of those things. It's like I didn't even think about it. I was wearing shorts that were too tight. You know?
Exactly. I mean, everything's going to kill you in the end, but it's a trade-off. And so I know that I can take my cell phone right now and I can go in and disable location tracking.
Right.
That's going to protect me a little bit.
Does it actually work?
I think it works for, you know, advertisers. Does it work for the government? No, please. They can override anything that we do. Anything.
Well, one of the funny things that's been going on lately is with the new phone, we've been getting messages that says, roads are clear, 25 minutes to work. And it's like, excuse me, how did you even know that I was going to work? Oh, yeah, I do it every day. It's like, I guess it becomes part of a pattern, but it's so weird to have something monitoring your every movement and knowing where you were supposed to be at a certain time.
Why aren't you at work today?
Right. Did you call in to your boss? Did you let them know that you weren't going to be coming in? Because I'll tell them for you if you like.
Yeah. You don't really have a fever because I can feel.
I can tell that you don't have a fever. Well, that's sort of a funny thing too, because when this happened years ago. Like when the European technology, for some reason, when it came to cell phones, it was so much more advanced than what we had in the States. So when I was in Greece, there was one phone that I had that could sense the temperature of anything that you put it on, any surface. So one day I put it down on the ground and it said 136. So I was like,
wow.
Guess I won't be walking barefoot on the ground today. But even now, is that a possibility? Will they be able to say, oh, based on your cell phone saying that you're not where you're supposed to be?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there've been movies like that, right? Where
you don't have a temperature. We can tell by you're holding your phone. We know you don't.
Watching you. That's
weird.
not your husband that you're with.
Weird. Yeah. Big Brother is becoming so much of a
it is. But we're allowing
overbearing parents.
But like you said, we are participating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you don't have to buy that.
Fully.
You can have a landline.
I mean, every now and then I meet somebody who's like not on Facebook, and are you a freak? And then I think, oh wow, I don't.
Yeah, what would that be like?
Well, we didn't, just go on and post all of our crap on Facebook. We don't remember it. It's like that frog story where, you put a frog in boiling water, it's going to jump out. It doesn't want to die. But if you put it in lukewarm water and then turn the temperature up very slowly, you can boil a frog to death. It won't realize what's transpiring.
Right.
Might feel uncomfortable. And I think that we're like that. We forget that, just 15, 20 years ago, or not even, we didn't have the ability to Skype. We didn't have the ability to have an app on our phone that allowed us to talk to somebody halfway across the world for free.
Well, actually, I do think that, when it came down to internet calls and things like that, I think it did start around 2000 where you can, it's been about 16 years.
Oh, my God. Can you believe that? It has been 16 years since
it has.
the year 2000.
Yep. Yeah, it's been about 16 years since that option became available, and it was, and at the time it was free with AOL.
Yeah.
So,
the dial-up time.
The dial-up, yeah, I remember.
We get so used to now the new technology so quickly that it's almost hard to envision the old days.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just the overwhelm of new technology, or faster, better, smarter. We're all participating in that because it does have its place. I mean, obviously, I don't like to be away from my son and not have a cell phone if anything happens. But do I need to be on it 24 hours a day? No. And I think we do become addicted to technology too. We really do.
So, okay, do you, in your search, did you ever figure out any way to protect yourself other than turning off your location device?
Well, I asked my son, because he's pretty savvy with that stuff. And, I mean, really, you can do very little when you shop online. Obviously now, excuse me, they track your purchases so that you get pop-up advertising all the time for that same purchase. You can go in and you can disable some of that stuff. You can go into your home page and disable some of the advertising because they will harass you. There are some email protection things that you can do, obviously, with your cell phone. One of the things that I learned is if you are on Facebook or social networking a lot on your cell phone, to make sure that you end those sessions. Just shut off your phone without ending sessions. Mm-hmm. And also that you check your active sessions to make sure that it is your device and not somebody else. Little things like that. But ultimately, the minute you turn your computer or your cell phone on, you're at the mercy of whoever is smarter than you and whoever has the better technology. And then you have to ask yourself, well, do I still want to use the internet? Absolutely. Do I still want to use my cell phone? Absolutely. And you have to make that choice. There's not a whole lot that we can do, though.
Right. And you're right. It's in order for us to stay in touch with today's technologies, and we joked about, apps and stuff. That the GPS on your phone has to be is a player. It is a major player, because the truth is, Marie, Tiffany, me, how long can we turn our phone off, our smartphone?
Yeah.
How long? We can't. We're so now, and that is some type of I don't know. Is it
absolutely.
Somebody has gone out and just manipulated? Right. Exactly. The game has changed from 20 years ago. The rules are different. We play by their rules, and if you don't, then I apply. Like my brother, who's 5 years younger than me. He's not on social media. He doesn't do it. And I jokingly, I'm like, dude, why not? And he's like, it's not him. So
there are people that can resist it, and they're probably the lucky ones. And then you think about all the time that you do. We were talking earlier, about distractions, and you think about what a huge distraction all of this technology has become to keep us from really seeing what's going on in the world. Not just that, though, but to keep us from our own goals, our dreams, doing things in our lives that we want to do. And I'm guilty of this too. We waste so much time on, staring at a phone or a computer screen that we could be doing something productive. And they know that. And by they, I mean anybody who creates any kind of program, app, social networking, forum or what have you. They want you to become hooked, whether it's so that you'll buy things, be exposed to advertising, or they can keep track of what you're doing. They know it's addicting, and they know that most people have addictive personalities. We're gonna fall for it. It's a mass mind manipulation.
Well, see, that's what I was asking earlier about the genetic makeup, our DNA and stuff, because there's a good example. Use my brother example. He's not into the social media thing. And the thing is now I think that the way I know him, he's not one who's pretty easily manipulated either. For us who succumb to the smartphone, succumb to today's technology and how we have to stay in the now with our friends and people who we work with. I think my brother now might probably not going to be one of the first ones to fall victim to the mind fuck, if you will, from whoever has that technology. It'll be us.
No, and I think he's one of the lucky people. I think, for somebody like me, I have to be on. I have to promote my books and blah, 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 talk about my work. But I feel that addictive pull. And I'm so outgoing, and it's fun. But I, every now and then, I'm like, oh, my God, I just wasted 2 hours that I could have been writing, or I could have been outside playing with the dogs or whatever. And so I think that if you don't have a necessity to be on and you can resist that pull, you're going to probably have a much healthier, but not everybody that uses it gets sucked in like that. I mean, I know that there are people that can go on Facebook or go on Twitter for 5 minutes or check their email and then they turn their computer off. So I think that you're right about the DNA, and maybe that, you know, some people have more addictive personalities, or they have less willpower, I don't know, whatever, that make it more difficult for them to stop something once they start it.
To get back on topic a little bit more with your book, do you feel that these techniques that we've been discussing can actually be used against us in a more formal setting or military setting without it being really acknowledged to the fullest extent?
Oh, sure. I mean, the only way I know is because I decided to write a book and do the research. But the average person is not going to be, unless they read books like this or they listen to this show or another show, they're not going to be aware of the manipulative techniques that are being used on them. And that is why cults are so powerful. That is why organized religion is so powerful. That's why the media is so powerful, because they use techniques that are so insidious and in many cases very subtle.
So who's controlling the modern everyday media when it comes to that, the mainstream media?
The corporation, whoever owns that particular network.
You think they just sit down and say, hey, you know, we're going to control this population and we're going to make them go out and do this, or we're going to make them buy. I mean, I can see how it's used for purchasing power.
Well, it politically, because you have corporations that are now in bed with politicians that support their, you know, big pharma. Let's take pharma. What you'll notice are a proliferation of pharmaceutical ads during certain shows on certain channels. And then you look and you see, oh, you know, Pfizer has a huge percentage of ownership in this particular broadcasting network or whatever.
Okay.
Right.
And also, if you look at their news stories, you start to see how it's spin. Their news stories are spun pro-pharmaceutical. If you have an alternative news source, you're gonna hear about you're gonna hear about other takes on that subject matter.
Right.
You have people that are politicians, or they're in bed with certain politicians that are huge owners of, you know, whether it's Warner Brothers and Disney and, you know, CBS, NBC, what have you. There are 6 groupings of the media and who owns them. So the same people own there's only 6 groups of ownership, I guess you could say. And that includes entertainment too. So if you really pay attention closely, you'll see a lot of sponsored news. And what that means is, like, if you have a Yahoo homepage on your email or on your internet, I started noticing a few years ago that they were having what's called sponsored news stories. Those are news stories that are written by whoever's doing the sponsoring, usually, again, pharmaceutical companies or, you know, some corporation that wants to get their particular product out or their word. You can trace those stories back to that particular corporation. All of the stories that are put out have a particular spin that is pro that product or that pharmaceutical or whatever it is that they're trying to get you to buy. Sponsored news. Now, if you don't look and see the little sponsored at the top, you'll click on the news story, you'll read it, and you will think it is factual news, when in fact it is not. It is opinion, propaganda, and spin. And the reason why I can tell that is because I studied journalism for years, and there is very little factual news presented anymore, even on the national news. Watch the national news. The vast majority of it are stories that have no real sources, anonymous sources, Oftentimes they're borrowed from other news sources, so you have no idea where these stories originated. A lot of it is opinion, and a lot of it is pro this, pro-Israel, pro-Palestine, pro that. You could tell that there is a spin on that particular story. So that's
Marie,
what we're dealing with.
I'm as straight as an arrow, but I admit I'm an Anderson Cooper guy, and you're just deflating my Anderson Cooper bubble. I
love Anderson too. Oh my gosh!
I think of him as a stand-up guy.
But it's his job to report what he is handed, and the stories are not always factual news stories. And when they were, there was a time when CNN and MSNBC, Fox has always had a reputation for being very slanted, and that's because of the owners of Fox, Roger Ailes, and they have a particular. They're ultra conservative. They want that kind of spin. CNN, MSNBC used to be highly liberal. Well, they're not anymore. Now they're very conservative because the ownership has changed. Well, Anderson Cooper has to report what he's given. If he doesn't, he's out of a job. But for a while, you got really good quality news out of him, and it's sad. And I hope one day he writes a book about it. But it's getting very hard to separate opinion from factual who, what, where, when, and why, and how, journalistic news, investigative news reporting. Very little of it. Usually have to go to European or other countries' news stations to get factual reporting, which is really interesting.
Well, when I lived in Greece, I swear I listened to this may really piss some people off, but I listened to Al Jazeera and I watched Al Jazeera every day.
Yes, they are one of the best factual news reporters.
I loved it. I loved them. And you know what? I worked for 2 different Fox stations, and I'm telling you, Al Jazeera was on point with everything that I was experiencing on a day-to-day basis when it came to the war, when it came to our military men, our events that we had participated in. I swear they were very, very close to the mark. Yeah. And I tell you what, not a damn word was said on Fox or this or that. That was actually it was not in the moment. It was delayed. It was skewed. It was bullshit. And I'm telling you, Al Jazeera was on. They were on point.
Yeah, and they have the reputation as being probably the #1 international news source. But what's interesting is, why do we have to go somewhere else to get news? This is America. We're supposed to be the best country on the planet, and we can't trust our own media because of the drive of the ownership of the media to get the public to see things a certain way, to vote a certain way, to believe a certain way. And that is mass mind control. That's like being in a big, giant-ass cult.
Well, my husband already thinks that we're in a cult, and we're in it together because we have this whole thing. We have this very different style of appreciation of the world.
But you know what? I mean, no matter all this crap, ultimately, you have to live your life and try not to be taken down too much. It's very scary. It's depressing. But it's almost an act of rebellion just to try to be happy and to live and help other people. These are becoming our acts of rebellion. To be able to laugh amidst all of this craziness, to write books and do radio shows and not be afraid to say, hey, this is what my research showed me. This is what's going on here. So we're all like rebels now, even though the cult, and then once you become aware of what's going on, you will never not be aware again.
That's true.
Well,
be unaware.
Marie, can you give us just maybe a short list, maybe 3 or 4 things that people should be looking for in their daily life if they suspect that they're having some of these different forms of what you consider to be mind wars?
Well, I think first and foremost, you have to look at your interpersonal relationships. Where are you being controlled? Because it all begins at home. If we allow people in our inner circles to control us, to alter or manipulate our behavior, then we're easily going to be able to let the mass media and the government do it. So really it starts with, make sure your thoughts are your own. Make sure that your actions align with your inner integrity, your authenticity. I know that sounds kind of woo-woo, but it's the truth. And when you look at the news, look for facts, look for times, statistics, dates, names, source things out, follow everything back to the source, follow the money. Look at ways that you might be able to cut down the amount of surveillance that you're probably under. Do what you can. Oh, gosh. I think and read and listen and become aware. There's so much power in awareness. Once you know what's going on, you become incredibly powerful because then you start meeting other people that are aware too.
Marie, that part I'm going to edit out in case there's a contingency of females that listen to my show that I deem kind of like groupies, and I still like to hold this power, this manipulative way.
Oh, be a Kevin groupie.
La 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 la. Everyone listening while she's talking right now, hold your earmuffs, please. No, we're winding down, and I know we're rounding third and heading for home with you because you said 90 minutes was your thing, and so there's one last thing. I like to do what I call a round of shot segments. I'm going to throw 6 quick questions at you, and
okay.
I can't remember. Go ahead.
No, that's not fair.
Wait a minute, what's that? No, these are easy. These are easy.
Okay,
it doesn't require you to mention an ex-boyfriend's name or how many times you did.
I don't have to think.
You don't, no. Right now, if someone grabbed your iPod, what would be the current song playing?
I don't have music on. I
At
don't.
all?
I don't have an. You know what? I only listen to music when I'm in the car.
Okay,
or
if someone got in your car, Jesus Christ, someone got in your car, what would be that song playing?
Rammstein, Rise, Rise.
Okay, see, we're progress here. When you're doing radio interviews, podcast interviews, what would be a pet peeve? What's something that just drives you crazy?
Well, you guys are.
I know
great,
it was probably something Tiffany said, not me. But go ahead.
No, I did one, and I'm not going to mention it, who it was or what show, but where the host will ask a question, and you make this big long answer, and then there's like dead silence for 10 minutes, and then the host goes, okay, so the next question.
Well, that will never flip and happen here.
Was that me?
No.
Oh my God. Pulling teeth.
Well, guess. I have to tell you, Marie, I do the round of shots. It's a 6 quick question answer. I told Tiffany, reach out to this person because I wanted this person to call in and give question number 7. So, Tiffany, real quick, share who that surprise guest was going to be, but he was booked tonight.
Well, we actually had 2 in the wings, okay. And both of them had things that they were doing, and I was very upset because I thought that I would be able to sway them, but it didn't happen.
Manipulate them, you mean?
Manipulate, yeah. I was trying to control their brains, and it just didn't work. The first one was Nick Redfern, and he says hello, and he hopes you are very, very well and wants to get with you soon.
It's my pal.
Yes. And the second was with Micah Hanks, and he says that he hopes you're well as well. Yeah.
They not think I'm important enough to do. They're gonna hear from me tomorrow.
They better. You know what? That is the way us women stick together. We gotta.
Oh my God!
You gotta.
You know who they're talking to. They're adorable. Love them both.
Yes, they are.
They're busy guys. Nick writes a book a day.
I swear. I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You two compete very well together, don't you?
No, he's winning. Trust me.
To plug Micah at the beginning of our show, we have our little music and a voice intro. We use Micah's voice. Micah's the one that says, shooting from the lip, whatever, from Louisville, Kevin and Tiffany. So that's Micah. So they're good, great guys. We love those guys.
Well, so he was present in some way.
In some way. There you go. There you go. Good point. Good point. Marie, if you could choose one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, God.
I thought you didn't believe in God.
I would love to be able to eat whatever the hell I want and not gain a pound. There you go.
How is that? That's the most fucking realistic superpower I've heard ever.
Could you imagine? That would be awesome.
Yes. Yes. Me too. I agree. Let's see. Number 4. Name a MDJ guilty pleasure.
Facebook.
Yeah.
A guilty pleasure. Oh, gosh. Oh, okay. This is a good one. I watch a lot of really, really, really sleazy movies on Lifetime TV. I do. I love them. I'm so hooked.
Knew this.
When I'm working,
she was a dirty girl.
They're on in the background all day sometimes. And
exactly.
I always tell people I'm researching because I want to write for Lifetime. It's like, no, they're just great background crap.
Whoa, hold on, though. If those are all background noises or ambiances during the day, what does that mean at night for you?
Are you saying that it's sort of getting into my subconscious?
Yeah, maybe.
You know, I'm always looking for a great soundbite. You know, I'd rather hear it on this show than have to go to some free internet site later.
Well, most of them are about women that are being stalked by some psychopath, so I don't really want to be subliminally. No, I watch Chiller Channel and really bad movies on Sci-Fi and Chiller Channel too. I love really bad movies.
Okay.
Sometimes they're so bad they're good, you know?
I know. It's a guilty
pleasure.
It's a guilty pleasure. All right, number 5. What is your favorite phone app?
Pokemon Go.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I love Twitter. I mean, I on Twitter on my phone. I don't normally use it on my desktop. But you know what? I like my weather app. Even though we don't have weather here, I like to check it anyway to see if there might be some weather coming. I think my weather app.
You mean like a very serious light rain?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, very torrential sprinkle. A torrential sprinkle in the San Diego area.
It tells me, you know, who's having a tornado in another part of it. I love weather. I'm a weather freak. But yeah, we don't have weather.
Okay. All right. Then the last question, if you had access to a time machine and could go anywhere in the past, anywhere, living, dinosaurs, anywhere, where would you go?
I'd go back to my childhood. I had so much fun. I was a little explorer. I'd go back to being around 5, 6, 7 years old.
So who would be your traveling companion, though, with you?
Nobody.
Good question. Nobody.
Really? I mean, no. I like to. Okay. Believe it or not, I'm such a loner. I'm such a lone wolf, and I would want to go back alone and just kind of.
You know, Tiffany, based on the way Marie started the show, I guarantee she goes back in time as a child, and she would tell all those 5- and 6-year-old kids about the real truth about Santa, the Easter Bunny. She's a fucking buzzkill. And you know what? Here's another thing, too. I want to bring this up. You brought up something that got my attention about, you know, a frog, that you put a frog in boiling water, it will jump out. That's
it'll
what you
try
said,
to.
Right? It'll try to. Okay, it'll try to. But if you put it in lukewarm water, you basically probably got it, right? Yeah.
Well, that's
so
kind
Tiffany,
of human behavior, too.
Well, this is what I'm getting, Tiffany. If she was to invite us over to her hot tub, and all of a sudden the water started to feel like it started to get hotter, get our flipping asses out right away because
they're trying to knock us off the airwaves.
I would not do. I have kind of a weird fear of hot tubs because I remember seeing a horror movie where somebody boiled in one, and it's like, oh God.
I just get creeped out with all the bacteria in them.
And yeah, who's been in this? Unless I own the hot tub, but
unless you own the hot tub and maintain it, because I worry about bacteria more than anything.
Yes, it's like, oh.
Okay, now you're starting to get too serious now. Okay. Tiffany, I mean, let's give props to where it needs to be because you and I, before this show, leading up to this show, we were sharing information, going back and forth, and we were like, this is going to be a heavy show. And here's the thing, Marie, during the show, Tiffany and I, we correspond like through Facebook Messenger.
Oh, were you telling dirty jokes about me?
Sometimes we do.
We were like, how much alcohol will it take to get her in the hot tub? But no, seriously, we were like, how deep? It was one. This was probably the most realistic / scary / in your face ordeal. This is real shit we're dealing with. There's no black and white here. There's no
escaping it is the thing.
Yeah, there's no Photoshop image that we're trying to figure out. I mean, technology is technology, and you've alarmed Tiffany and I on several levels tonight, so thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Now I'll never be able to sleep again.
It is, but you have to laugh and you have to keep your sense of humor and your positivity and live your best life.
Well, then you came to the right show because Kevin and I, we do have a lighter side.
We do.
And, it may be a little uncomfortable for some people to listen because we aren't constantly...
We're serious, but not so serious.
That's disempowering.
Right.
Doom and, oh my God. You know what? Like I said, it is a total act of rebellion to become aware of all this stuff, do what you can, and continue to live a good life. That's what they don't want you to do.
Right.
Stand up.
Just like stalkers.
Yep.
They don't want you to go anywhere.
Exactly.
Marie, before I let you go, I want to ask this question, and you can answer it as short.
With you. For heaven's sake, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah,
and just hit her up on Tinder later.
You know what, Marie? I don't need to go through Tinder. Tinder would be like a broker for me to get to Marie. I've got her digits. I can go straight to her. But before
to the source.
Exactly. And I would.
It's an airplane right away.
There would be no doubt in my mind spending a weekend with Marie would be like pleasure on so many levels. And I think one of the pleasures though, Marie. One of the pleasures I would get out of you or enjoy with you is conversation, is pillow talk. And here, give me some pillow talk real quick. Tell me real quick your time with your time with the Fourth Kind movie. Share with us how that all played out for you.
Okay. Oh well, let me tell you.
Yeah.
For some strange reason, Universal called me to do a promotional video for the Fourth Kind, and they came to San Diego and shot the video, and I got to talk about the association of number sequences and specific times that a lot of abductees experience. And I was treated like a movie star, and I got my own private screening of the movie all by myself with a rep from the studio. It was fun. What was interesting, though, is that you talk to people for hours, and I was on Ancient Aliens many times, and this is something that you deal with, is that you talk, and then they take little sound bites, and you have no idea how it's going to turn out until you see the final product. So I was a little concerned that I might be taken out of context, but they did an okay job.
Check this out, Marie. You know how I'm not beating around the bush. I would enjoy spending the weekend with you. You mentioned Ancient Aliens. Who's your guy, Tiffany?
Oh, Giorgio. Giorgio, if you're listening, I'm going to get you, and I'm going to get you on this show.
Oh, that sounds sexy.
Oh, Giorgio Tsoukalos.
Sounds like a
He's married now?
Is he?
Oh, I don't know.
No. Oh, okay. So my chances are still open. Wait a minute, I'm married.
You're married.
Why do you got to remind me of this stuff every night, Kevin?
I do. You're right. My bad. I'm your wing guy, and I've just fucking failed there for you, Tiffany. I'm sorry.
You did. Damn it. You reminded me.
I reminded you.
Just to Utah, and won't be.
Yeah, there you go. Marie, I mean, you came on. You absolutely killed it tonight. At the beginning of the show, I really was, so pumped as far as certain beliefs. You let the air out of my balloon enough to keep me honest. To keep me honest, right? And like I said, if in what you're actually what you're saying in your mindset, your approach is right, and the fact that you've got history, so people who are listening to you, listening to your opinions, it's because you've been there and done it. You've been able to establish those. And
and it doesn't mean I don't believe in these things. It just means that, like I said, extraordinary claims require extraordinary proof, and that's just the way that it is. So, but then when we get it, it will be all the more exciting. It really will.
Which, after this show ends, that's my plan. So that's a whole different topic. But anyway, I still got Tiffany. I still got game. I don't care that I'm hitting 50. I just
have game.
Yeah.
Keep on believing that, buddy.
I'm not sure what game, but you do have game.
All right, Marie, stop. All right, enough. Anyway, you could have played along.
I don't know.
Yeah, Marie, it is 8:48 in San Diego. You go enjoy. Yeah, you enjoy the rest of your night. You came on and you were.
Thank you so much, guys. Really, I had a great time with you guys.
Yeah.
Why don't you let people know how to get a hold of you, or I'm assuming that you're on Kindle and all of these other, different
social media.
Social medias. Let's hear it.
The books are sold digital and print on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, in bookstores, in libraries too. You can check your libraries if you still have any in your neighborhood. And my websites are mariedjones.com and where'slucyproductions.com. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn. Marie D. Jones, author, I think is my Facebook handle. So I'm around. But, through my website, mariedjones.com, people can email me if they have information or questions or just want to say hi.
All right, very cool. And you're on Tinder for me, so I'll find you later, right?
Honey, we'll Snapchat.
Yes, okay. Yeah.
Just don't send me any of those pictures. I don't want to get in trouble.
I've got her digits. She and I are on a first name basis. So, anyway, Marie, thanks so much for hanging with us. Absolutely good stuff.
Thanks, guys. Thank you very much. You guys have a great weekend.
This was a wonderful show. We were really, really happy to get you on, and your. I can't wait for your book to get to me. I'm really upset that it didn't get here before our show, but you know what? I'm going to read it, and I'm going to pass it around my neighborhood.
Definitely do. Freak out all your neighbors. Go for it.
Well, I think that's the plan.
MDJ. I love all our shows, Tiffany.
Mhm.
This one, arguably, numero uno. Arguably.
Well, I'm scared now is the problem.
Well,
I'm sitting here thinking, how do I shut everything down?
That's a good point. Let's take a step back. Numero uno from the fact that it was pretty damn real. There was no black and white here.
No.
I mean, it is or it's not. And the problem or the reality is that more times it is, because technology, the way technology is moving forward, which I do think, and I was going to challenge her, a lot of technology I think has come from alien technology that has been here, and that's a whole different story. But how's Chris doing?
Oh, well, he just walked in to inform me that he is going down to a neighbor's house to have a beer.
Oh, well, good. Oh, that's okay. That's healthy. You did the show, baby.
Not when the dogs just woke the babies up.
Oh, so you got left hanging with the
so
baby.
now I got left. Yes, now I have to go take care of the kids.
I know. You handled the show well tonight.
Yeah, it was a good show. It was really, really good. And you know, there's so many different things that she's involved with, and I have a feeling that I'm going to have to just order all of her books.
Mm-hmm.
So.
No, she's going to be one that I think will make her way on. For me, this is the second time around with her,
right?
Because podcasts I did.
Mm-hmm.
She is one that, because really talked one book, she's got several books, and she's so in tune with.
I think it's 15 or something.
Right, she is so in tune with, ufology, with the government and paranormal. She's such a sweet person too. She's fun. We had so much fun tonight.
we love the paranormal. We love ET, but when it comes to government conspiracy, there's really nothing that you can do to prevent it. It just is. That's what's scary.
At no time were any animals or people hurt during this presentation of Shooting from the Lip.